Okay, welcome back. So again, I was saying that point slope form is a little bit easier to do because slope intercept form would involve us having to solve for the y-intercept, which you don't have. Point slope form, we don't need the y-intercept, we can just use a point to create the equation. So I showed you how you would have done it back in grade 9 if you wanted to use point slope intercept form. We would start by writing out y equals mx plus b, putting in the slope that we knew of 2 over 3. And then we'd have to sub in a point that we knew from the graph. So the only point we know right now is the midpoint at 1, 1. So I sub that in for x and y, and I have to solve the equation for b. So I wind up with a b of 1/3. Once I have that, I have my slope, my y-intercept, I can write my equation out. My strong recommendation, very strong recommendation, is that to save yourself some time, you use point slope form. Not only is it faster, it has less algebra involved, you're less likely to make a mistake. And if you think about going into later grades when potentially finding the equation of a line could be step 1 of a 5-step problem, you don't want to be wasting your time on unnecessary algebra if point slope form will do the trick just fine. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you're not used to using point slope form, it would be a good time to start getting used to using point slope form just because, again, it is potentially a huge time saver. So last example, so I'm giving you a triangle. It has vertices at -2, 12, -10, 4, and 2, 8. We want to find the equation of the median from B. So remind yourself what the median is in a triangle. So it's a line that goes from the vertex of a triangle, so a corner essentially, to the midpoint of the opposite side. So on our equation right here, what I would recommend doing is drawing in your points on a Cartesian plane and completing your triangle so you know what it looks like. Okay, so there's my 3 points. So A was at -2, 12, that's this one right here. B is at -10, 4, and this is C out here. So that means the median from B would be the line that goes from the vertex, or from the point B, through the midpoint of the side across, so it should be crossing through AC. So the median looks something like this. Okay, now the median I've drawn as a line segment, but it is technically a line that goes on forever, so do keep that in mind. It would look something like this, actually. Oh, it's not very well done. Okay, so it goes on forever in all directions. In both directions, I should say. So that's what the median looks like. So we're trying to find the equation of this line right here. Okay, so remember, when you need to find the equation of a line, we need 2 things, a slope and a point. Well, we have a point already. Okay, we know it passes through B. So we know it passes through -10, 4. The problem is, to find the slope, we actually need 2 points. So one point we know is there at -10, 4. The other point we know it has to pass through, because it's a median, it passes through the midpoint of the side across, so it passes through the midpoint of AC. So we have to find that point right there. Now, it really looks like on our graph it's the point 0, 10. And I'll save you some trouble. It actually is 0, 10. But sometimes our diagrams aren't always to scale. There could be a little bit of a graphing error in there, so we want to make sure we can calculate it. So to make sure of this, we're going to calculate the midpoint of AC. So halfway between A and C, I'm going to get, again, x1 plus x2 divided by 2. So that's going to be -2 plus 2 divided by 2. For my y value, it will be 12 plus 8 over 2. Okay, so that's going to give me a midpoint of -2 plus 2 is 0. 0 over 2 is still 0. 12 plus 8 is 20, divided by 2 is 10, which at least it matches the graph. It's a good way to check to see if you're on the right track, if the answer that you get makes sense based on the graph that you've drawn. So this is going to be our midpoint, so we know our median passes through the point 0, 10. It also passes through the point B, which is -10, 4. So we can actually find our slope. So our slope is going to be going, again, for our 2 points, I'm going to use -10, 4, and 0, 10. So for my slope calculation, I'm going to go 4 minus 10, y2 minus y1, over -10 minus 0, x2 minus x1. That's going to give me -6 over -10, which simplifies into +3 over 5. Now, notice I don't need to take the perpendicular slope or anything like that, because this isn't a right bisector, it's a median. Okay, there's no stipulation this has to be perpendicular to anything. This is just the slope of this line right here. Okay, slope of the median. So now I have my slope, 3 over 5. I have multiple points. I have 0, 10, and negative 10, 4. So I can create a point slope form if I want. Now, this is actually one of the rare times that using slope and intercept form is actually a little bit faster, because it just so happens by coincidence here that my midpoint here that the median passes through happens to be at the y-intercept. So if I want to use slope and intercept form, it's going to be relatively quick. I have a slope of 3 over 5, a y-intercept of 10, so my equation slope and intercept form is y equals 3 over 5x plus 10. Okay, if I want to use point slope form anyways, I could do it with either point given. So let's say I do it with a point negative 10, 4. Okay, remember my slope is 3 over 5. So my point slope form would be y equals 3 over 5. It's x minus x1, so x minus negative 10 is x plus 10, plus y1, which is 4. Okay, so that would be a valid equation in point slope form that you could get just as quickly using slope and intercept form. If you want to use the point 0, 10, what you'll find, well, if I throw that in, I'm going to get x minus 0 plus 10. And what you'll see is since the x minus 0 doesn't really do anything, you just get 3 over 5 x plus 10, which is exactly what we got over here for slope and intercept form. Okay, so two different ways of finding the equation there. This particular one, no one form was faster than the other. But again, in general, point slope form will be faster. Okay, that's it for this one. So there's some homework there to practice using the concepts, finding medians, right bisectors, and midpoints. And we'll move forward from this starting tomorrow. Cheers.